everybody. So we're the Hallmarkies podcast, and we are so excited. We have a special guest today, and I'm Rachel, and Amber is here.
Hi, everybody.
And we have a Hall star extraordinaire. Andrea Brooks is here to talk to us.
Yay! Hi, everybody.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on our little podcast. We really appreciate it.
Of course. I'm happy to be here. I love talking to Hardies, Hallmarkies, anybody who knows about this world, because it's a pretty unique land that we live in here, Hallmark land.
It really is. It really is. And so what we like to kind of start off our interviews with is just to ask our interviewees what inspired you to become an actress and to introduce yourself. And so why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Andrea Brooks. I am a Canadian actor, and I'm based in Vancouver, British Columbia. And I started acting professionally at the age of 18. So I've almost been doing it for about half my life, which is kind of freaky. I guess you could say I always had the urge to act. I remember, and I've said this before, I remember watching Sesame Street when I was a kid and watching the kids interact with Elmo, and I was like, I want to be one of those kids. I didn't really know why. I just knew I wanted to be on the TV. I couldn't really explain it. No one in my family acted or had a history of theater acting or anything. So it was always something in the back of my mind, I would say. And the opportunity kind of came when I was 15 years old, and I was a competitive figure skater, and they were auditioning for small roles in a Disney movie where they wanted people who could actually skate. So I went to that audition, and it went really well, and I ended up going through a bunch of callbacks and ended up reading for the lead role. And this was kind of out of nowhere. I mean, by this point, as a teenager, I was in a theater company and I was trained, but I had no experience on camera and didn't end up getting the role. But by the end of that, I had an agent and I started auditioning, and it's just kind of continued since then.
Awesome.
Really
so
cool.
Rachel, I definitely have found our star for our Hallmark Cutting Edge version movie. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I love that movie. That is one of my favorite movies. I probably watched it 1,000 times growing up. And that is my dream. I would love to be in a new Cutting Edge. And you know, they did a remake of Cutting Edge, I want to say in like the mid 2000s, maybe like 2008, 9. I don't really remember, but I remember auditioning for it and being like, oh, I need this. I didn't get the role, but
oh, you should have gotten the role, because those sequels are pretty bad. We did a whole podcast on a Cutting Edge, and you would have been a definite upgrade of what they got for that second.
Well, thank you.
Because one of the biggest flaws was none of the people could skate.
I know. Oh my goodness. It's so hard to watch when you're trained in figure skating and seeing the doubling, and when it doesn't work, it drives me crazy. My mom is also a figure skater, and she used to coach, so it drives her crazy as well. We actually like the movie I, Tonya, which came out this year. The skating doubling on that was incredible. That was some of the best skating doubling I've seen. So that's what we have to be in our imaginary Hallmark skating movie, which I very much would like to be a part of. So let's do this.
Now
That's
that we
why
know that
they
we
got
have
nominated.
the talent in the Hallmark stable of actresses, we're gonna make it happen.
I love it.
Yeah, that's why I, Tonya got nominated for Best Editing, and it was totally deserved, because they did a very good job.
Yeah, they really did. And I know that they had trouble getting double, because there aren't a lot of women who do triple axels, and the fact that they made that happen and they integrated the CGI, and I couldn't even really tell. I mean, I know where the CGI segments were, but it was very seamless. So I think they deserve that nomination.
Agreed. Yeah, so I have to tell you, so I normally am not a big fan of the bride movies. I find Bridezillas just to be very grating on me. But
fair.
But I was battling in my top 10 list between Destination Wedding and Harvest Wedding in my top 10 list, and I realized I'm like, both of them have Andrea Brooks. So you are officially the bride that I like.
Yay! I'm honored. Thank you. I've said this before. I love shooting weddings, like fake weddings, and you have a fake parent or two and fake grandparents and a fake husband. I love it. Like, I will shoot a wedding any day of the week. That's probably the best thing that you can do as an actor. Maybe not, I don't know, but I'm a big fan of the weddings, so I'm all for those. I wouldn't mind doing it again.
Do they have fake wedding cake that's actually real?
They do have fake wedding cake, but you know what? I'm trying to think. I think the last fake wedding cake was actually fake. Because I don't think we were ever shown cutting it, but it was there, and it was a big, like, plastic thing with a bit of real icing on top. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend trying that.
All right. At the end of your figure skating movie, we'll make sure there's a wedding.
I like this.
With a real cake.
With real cake that we actually get to eat.
Yes.
What do you like?
We'll have you do the, like, cute, like, sharing the cake, so you'll definitely get a chance to eat it.
Perfect. If that scene is written, then we can't avoid it. We need a real cake.
Right?
This actually reminds me. So the new movie that I'm going to be in March 17th on Hallmark Channel, called The Sweetest Heart, it takes place in a cupcake shop. So there are quite a number of scenes of us eating cupcakes, serving cupcakes, organizing cupcakes. And I think after that movie, I had an official cupcake hangover. And I don't know if I can look at cupcakes right now. Even to this day, I think we wrapped this movie 3 weeks ago, months ago. And I still, like, when I'm in coffee shops, I'm like, oh, I just can't do a cupcake yet. I ate way too many on that movie.
What was it like? I guess, like, you said you really what is it about the wedding movies that you like?
I think over these past few years, I think I've done about 10 Hallmark projects / movies, not including one called The Heart. And I feel very fortunate. I think every cast that I've worked with has been incredible, and I've always ended up working with people who are my friends or become my friends. And because they often hire Canadian actors, it's a small talent pool up here, and so most of us know each other. It's a small community, but I think just in the wedding movies, at least, the men that I've had the luxury of marrying have been quite wonderful, and, like, we are legitimately friends, so I think that makes it really fun. And there's just something, I don't know, about, like, putting on a wedding dress and just getting all dolled up, like, as if it's a real day, but it's not. There's just something about that is really fun. I don't know, it's like a kid playing dress up.
Yeah, and you don't have to pay for the wedding or plan it.
Oh yeah, you don't have to pay, you don't have to plan, you don't have to set anything up. You just kind of show up and you're like, okay, these colors are great. And I love that. So, the crew takes care of it all, and then you leave. It's just a good time.
Yeah, so I know these films are made really quickly. Is that stressful to be a part of?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, we typically do these projects in about 3 weeks, give or take. Sometimes it goes into a 4th week, depending if we shoot Saturdays or not. So yeah, they're between 3 and 4 weeks. Oftentimes you get the script. I mean, they're usually working on the rewrites right up until the last minute for these things. So sometimes I've gone to work having just read the project the night before. And things change, the name changes, the concept changes, the season changes. So you have to be very flexible on these projects. And oftentimes, because they are working on the script as you're going, you have to be flexible with, you don't want to be married to the lines per se, and you don't want to be completely, you don't want your performance to be set in stone either, just because things are shifting. So you have to be kind of loose and flexible with your performance, and luckily, because Hallmark on these projects, they often hire such wonderful people. It's kind of easy to do that, because if you make friends with everybody in the cast, then it's easy to kind of stay loose instead of staying super focused. And, it's a nice kind of relaxed atmosphere, despite the fact that you're moving at a very, very fast pace.
Yeah. I think it actually, I've been thinking about this as we've been getting more and more into Hallmark movies, because it's so fast paced and there's all these changes, which we're hearing about. I think it actually shows up on the screen that, like, the lines and things seem very natural and not, like, over rehearsed, and they probably just can't be. Because...
that's interesting. That's interesting that you've noticed that. And yeah, it is true, because up until the last second, we're all kind of looking at this. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. Okay, we'll shoot it this way. We'll shoot it this way. Then we have to move on. I actually quite like working at a furious pace because it keeps you on your toes. And I find performance-wise, same thing. You don't really, if you're working on something and you shoot a scene, 50 times over, you kind of start relying on your muscle memory and you're kind of taken out of the moment. But if you're really working quick and you're really on your toes trying to think about the next line, I think maybe it does result in a natural performance at times because you honestly are kind of working through it as you're going.
Yeah, so I mean, that's cool. A benefit, I guess.
Being at that resort for a destination wedding.
Oh my gosh, I think that was the most fun I've ever had on a project ever. And it was just so cool because I'm legitimately friends with Andrew Dunbar, who I married, Jeremy Gilbo, Preston Vanderslice. Like we're legitimate friends. We all live either Vancouver, LA. And I think that was my second or third project with Jeremy at that point. We've since worked together again. So yeah, it was just like being on vacation with a bunch of your buddies. And we actually stayed in the resort that we shot at. So for me, like the makeup room was right next door to my suite. So I would literally roll out of bed in the morning and take like 5 steps and I was at work. So that was pretty unbelievable.
I love the ocean so much. I just love being in the water.
So much. Do you? Oh, so do I. Yeah, we just had the most fantastic time. I wish we could do it all over again.
That's so cool. Because the writer of that movie, you have connections to several of our guests that we've had. Because the writer of that movie came on our show, Nina Weidman, and we love her so much.
Oh, Nina! No way!
Yeah, she's the best.
Love Nina. She was such a riot in Mexico. Oh my gosh, we all had so much fun. Oh, I love her.
And just for the record, I love Jeremy Gilbo, so whatever you can do to get him on our podcast.
Okay, I'll mention it. Yeah, he's a great guy.
We had Marcus Rosner on the podcast as well. So
no way! Another husband.
Yeah, we just got to get all of your movie husbands, and then we'll be good.
And you guys, I know you guys also chatted to Cindy Busby recently.
Yeah.
She and I we're good friends.
Yeah, she was a delight. You're a delight. So I'm not surprised you guys are delightful as friends.
You're so sweet. Oh, I love Cindy. She's a riot. And I still haven't seen her new movie yet. So that's on my list.
Oh, it's so great because they filmed on location in Romania. I mean,
I know. I remember when she was there, and the producer of that is also one of the producers on One Calls the Heart. So I remember just one day she's been back and forth, LA, Vancouver, just kind of all over the place. And then one day I messaged her. I don't know if I was like, want to hang out? She's like, I'm in Romania. I was like, oh, okay, never mind. That's a long trip to take for a coffee. So never mind.
Well,
if you were to have Hallmark fly you to a different location for a movie, where would you want it to be set?
Oh my gosh. Okay. First of all, I love traveling. I think I would pick somewhere I've never been. But if it were for a Hallmark movie, I mean, I would love to shoot in Paris because it's one of my favorite cities. Would love to. I think they have done, one Hallmark movie in Paris, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. I haven't seen it, but I knew, I think Martin Wood directed that one. I just think shooting in Paris would be just beautiful with the canals and the Eiffel Tower and the cityscape. I love Paris. I know it's so cliche, but I think that'd be a cool spot for a Hallmark movie.
Love Locks too. We'll have to put in a good word for you.
I think that would be so fun. Paris, or anything tropical. Basically, anywhere with a fun cast where you're is fun. Anything on location is fun.
Yeah. Cool. Well, you have to come to do one in Utah.
I love Utah. I've driven through your entire state. I was living in LA, and then I went to visit somebody in Arizona, and then we ended up going to Vegas, and there's this whole trajectory, and we were driving back up to Vancouver, and then I accidentally misguided us and then took us through Utah. We were supposed to drive through Nevada, which would have saved us probably 10 hours. But I sort of this is why we should only rely on Google to take us places, not me. So I ended up taking us all the way through Utah. So I've driven through the entire state. I actually loved it. It was beautiful. The people I was with weren't very impressed with me. But the whole time I was like, look at the hills. I think it's a fabulous state.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you though, in the south part where there's just not red rocks, not really beautiful mountains where it's kind of like dust. That's not the greatest, but the rest of it is.
Oh, my dad.
Oh, really?
It's so funny. Like, we'll go down to my dad loves Southern Utah so much. And we go, like, he loves Southern Utah as much as I love the ocean. And because I can just look at the ocean and be like, look how pretty it is. And I can just stare at it for hours and hours. And he's like that he'll just be like, look at that, beautiful rocks. And last time we went down there, I was like, by the end of like the first day, I was like, if he says to look at those rocks one more time, I'm going to scream. I can't handle it anymore. But
so,
yeah,
you know, I can sympathize. My mother is a geologist, so rocks are her business. So as a kid, I've been trekked all around Canada, all around North America, looking at rocks. So I understand how you feel.
You really understand. That's so funny. So the bridge movies, were those your first ones you did for Hallmark? Is that your first project?
Oh, you know what? I don't remember what my first. I don't want to answer this incorrectly. I know when I did the bridge, I think I had already done my little stint on season 2 of When Calls the Heart. So that had happened. I'm just trying to remember if there were more movies before that.
Well, according to IMDb, your first thing was that episode of Signed, Sealed, Delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I messed up.
That sounds right. That sounds right. Wow, I forgot about that. Thank you, IMDb.
What would we do without IMDb?
I have no idea. People ask me all the time. I forget everything. I forget the projects. I forget characters' names that I've played, and I'll just be like, right. Yes, I knew that. IMDb.
You know, Kimmy from the episode of Signed, Sealed, Delivered.
Kimmy played. You know, I never saw that episode, but that's where I played a tuba. In that episode, it was a good time.
Yeah,
I played big tuba.
So was that fun being in those bridge movies?
Oh, the bridge was
kind of emotional.
Yeah, they were emotional. Part 1 and a part 2. That we also were technically on location for that movie. We were shooting in Victoria, BC, which is a ferry ride away. It's on the island in British Columbia. That was another great cast. And it was really emotional. It was really fun to play a character at 2 different stages in her life. So at first she's in high school, and then it's, I think, 8 years or 9 years later. So that was really fun. And another great cast. And I think those projects turned out because people still seem to respond to them. I still hear people talking about those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I can't remember, in the bridge, did you work with Wyatt Nash?
Wyatt Nash, I did, yeah, yep. So I played his high school girlfriend.
Yes.
And then I never get over it, so my heart is broken at the end that we don't end up together. Very sad. But yeah, Wyatt's awesome. He was fabulous. I had a lot of fun working with him.
Did you guys ever talk about his time on Survivor?
He has a secret life.
Yeah, I think. Have you guys interviewed him?
No. But he would be a dream because Rachel and I actually met through a mutual love of Survivor.
No way.
Movies. But
that's so crazy.
So whenever he is on, back in the day his name was Matt, but whenever Wyatt Nash is on,
you remember Survivor.
Yeah, I'm just always like, come on.
That's hilarious.
Christmas. What was that doing?
Ooh, A Wish for Christmas. So that is the project that I met Paul Green on.
Yes.
Which was awesome because it's been a few years now and we've been working together quite steadily now on When Calls the Heart. That was with Lacey, and that, I'm trying to think if that was I think that might have been my first Christmas movie. Really awesome. Christy Will directed it, and she actually directed me in one of my first projects when I was 15 or 16 years old in a little independent project. So that was really fun, kind of reuniting with her like a decade later. Lacey is just one of the sweetest, most genuine people, phenomenal actor. I had so much fun working with her. And then that's where Paul and I met, and I discovered he is a massive jokester and a lot of fun to work with, a lot of fun to be around. And that one went really well. And I legitimately like that movie, because I don't often watch a lot of the projects that I do. It's just kind of strange to know that, you know, you have a memory of how it was when you were working on it, and then sometimes it doesn't translate the way you think it will. But that one I watched, and that one I actually really, really like.
That's a cute one. I like it too.
I think Christy Will picks really great projects. We love her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, me too. Have you interviewed her?
No, but she's like on the bucket list of people we want to interview, because
so cool. I recommend it.
It's so good.
Because we interviewed Jen Lilly, who worked with Christy Will 3 times last year, and so we kind of vicariously interviewed her in a way. We love her.
That's so cool.
And so I wanted to ask you about Supergirl. So tell us about your part in that show and what that's like.
Sure. So we are currently in production. We're near the tail end of season 3 right now. And my character came in at the very beginning of season 2. And basically, my character's name is Eve Tessmacher, and she ended up replacing Kara, Supergirl, at Catco. So she was the assistant in season 1, and then I came in season 2. Now I'm the assistant, so I'm always getting the coffee, making the mistakes, angering everybody in the office, and it's been a lot of fun. She's a good comedic character, and she's always kind of in trouble, and she's always flustered, and she's always got a million things kind of going on at once. And she's actually based off of an original Superman character. Eve Tessmacher was in the original Superman movies in the 70s. She was played by Valerie Perrine. So that's been a lot of fun to kind of play a character that exists in the larger superhero universe, or oeuvre, or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it's just been fun. It's a recurring role, so I'm in and out of that project quite a bit. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah, really Supergirl cool. Is a really great show. I just want to put that out there for people who haven't seen it. It's really fun. I think it might be my favorite of all of the Justice League on the WB. I mean, not the WB.
Yeah.
CW.
And it was WB back in my day too.
But yeah, I think it's a really cleverly written show. So
it is clever. And I like, there's a lot of female empowerment, and yeah, it's awesome. I always say, like, if I were 14 years old, I think that would be my favorite show to watch.
Yeah. It's interesting because I wish that they could transfer what they seem to be able to get to work on the TV. I wish they could get it to work on the movies over there. But I like the positive spirit of Supergirl. That it's so depressing, like the movies.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And there are so many superhero projects now. It's like everywhere you turn, they're like every single blockbuster. There's a ton of series, and they just keep coming out. But I guess there's quite a demand for it. So
and
it's fun to be a part of that.
I think Supergirl has because they have a slightly different perspective than most of the other shows, because it, like Wonder Woman, it's female centered, but it's not like I'm the toughest, best woman in the world. It's like I'm very strong and powerful, but I don't need, like, there's a lot of powerful women in it who don't have superpowers necessarily. So it's kind of a different perspective in that way. And I think that makes it really unique from all of the other superhero projects that are being produced, lately.
Yeah, that's a good point, because she is Supergirl's equally a superhero, and it's also kind of a coming of age story about a girl that everyone can identify with at the same time. So it is a nice balance to not just be all focused on the fighting, and that, you kind of get the two narratives in one.
Yeah, and they have a lot of, cardigans in that show, and I'm a big cardigan fan, so style's great.
So many cardigans. Every scene that I've done on that show, I have a cardigan. I swear, every color. I've worn every color cardigan, and it's gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, we need to start styling these a little. So I like kind of cuff the sleeves now, and I'm like, okay, let's pair it with like something like sparkly, because there are so many cardigans.
That's so funny. Okay, so let's talk about When Calls the Heart. So your character, Faith. And so we found out from, I can't remember who, if it was Ruth that told us, that I guess you were the last person that you thought would play a nurse because you faint.
Yeah,
true?
That is so true. Well, first of all, I'm a fainter. I'm so embarrassed by this, but yeah, at the sight of needles, hospitals, it makes me queasy. And I have such an appreciation for the people who work in hospitals, first responders, doctors, nurses, but it's hard for me as, you know, a patient going in or going to visit somebody. It's tough. And I've always battled with this, and it runs in my family, on both sides of my family, fainting. So even when I was in, you know, 6th grade getting my shot, I would faint always. I would faint in class when the school nurse would come and give a presentation about, I don't even know what it was, because I fainted and my mom would always have to pick me up. It was very embarrassing. And so, yeah, there are just certain things that trigger me. And I've learned, you know, if anyone knows what it's like to faint, you know, you feel very lightheaded, you go very pale, you can feel all the blood kind of rushing out of your head. You feel like bend down and try to just think about something else. So I just grew up doing that. And then when it came time to, you know, partake in nursing activities on the show, I remember being like, oh my goodness, okay, it's like a blood pressure machine, and like this is how you take some, you know, all these things. Like I really had to check myself and sort of, you know, tell myself that this was not real, that this is fake, and you're gonna get through it. And so far so good. I have not fainted on the show yet, so hope it stays that way.
I think you could use that to your advantage. I mean, what's more, one calls the heart than a fainting nurse? That seems very, very appropriate.
That would be a great storyline.
Yeah, it would.
But you know, I think playing Faith has been really good for me. My aunt is a dentist, and she used to faint just the same way that I did as a kid. And she grew out of it, and now she performs surgeries, she administers needles all the time. Mm-hmm. And so that gives me hope that you can eventually become desensitized if you're exposed to this kind of thing. And I really do think that playing a nurse, even though it's not real, standing there, being in charge, telling people it's going to be okay, I think it's actually kind of helping me and on some psychological level. So I think it's been good, because I really do think I've gotten better. And now if I go to a hospital or a clinic, or I watch the nurses, and I can kind of not relate to them, because by no means does my job have, you know, any of the I don't have to deal with any of the hardships that a real nurse does, let's face it. But I don't know, there's a level of compassion. There's something I've learned, and I think it's kind of calmed my inner nerves. So yeah. I haven't fainted for quite a while now. So I'm hoping that I have become at least a little bit desensitized.
Yeah, that's funny. I've only fainted one time in my life, and it's really funny, because so my sister got her wisdom teeth taken out, and I was the one assigned to go pick her up from the doctors, and I go in there and I see her, and she was like, and I have a very soft spot in my heart for my sister, and she was all like puffy, and the smell was really strong, and I fainted. And they were all like, oh my gosh, you know. And
she was being administered into your care, and then you fainted.
Yeah, she's like, I'm the one that had like my teeth removed, and they were spending more time on me. It was pretty funny. So we had to call my cousin Julia and have her come and pick the both of us up.
Oh no, that's an amazing story.
I know, it was pretty funny.
I can relate to that, because that is totally something that would happen to me. I definitely can relate to that. That's really funny.
Pretty funny. Okay, but what's it like to be on One Calls the Heart? What's that experience like?
Oh, it's been such a joy to work on this show. And this is the longest I've ever spent with a character. I mean, I came in season 2, and we're finished 5, hopefully going on to a 6. And there's just something so special about working with people over the course of years, and kind of growing up as actors, and, you know, growing as friends in real life as well as on a show. And there's just something about that that's just super special. And I think we just got so lucky on this show, because all of us really are friends. We all truly get along. And I always say that one of my favorite things to do on the show is the group scenes, because I love having the town come together, because I legitimately feel like I'm friends with everybody. And it's been really fun to play a character that grows and that goes through hardship and is learning who she is and finds her footing in a new town. All of that stuff has been so fun to play. And I feel very fortunate.
Yeah, and you do a great job. Faith is one of the characters who has never bugged me, which is kind of rude to say, because a lot of the characters do drive me crazy, but sometimes with their choices.
Fair.
But Faith never bugs me, so I'm proud of you.
Aw, good. Well, I'm glad.
So
that's really sweet.
Now I'm curious. So are there a lot of pranks on set? You said that Paul Green does pranks.
Yes,
the scoop.
There are many. I would say Daniel and Paul are the biggest jokesters on set. Paul, everyone now knows, but I think when he first came on the show in season 4, people weren't aware of his prank abilities, but he'll go around and he'll be like, there's something on your shirt. There's something on your shirt. And you're about to shoot and you're like, oh no. And then he'll always go boop. And then he'll like he just has little things like that where you know. So anytime he says there's something in your teeth, there's something on your shirt, there isn't. Just don't believe him. Okay. So I think everyone's grown accustomed to this. I don't know. He's just a really fun person. He has a lot of funny voices that he'll and I think the kids all find him hilarious. So yeah, he keeps the mood lighthearted, and I really like that because I appreciate working in an environment where things are light and amicable, not super serious. I mean, there's obviously a time for that, depending on what kind of scene you're shooting. But for the most part, if it's a lighter scene, it's nice that someone lightens the mood.
Yeah. So I have been curious. Do you think Faith will ever find love?
Yeah.
You have to tell us, just personally.
Give us the scoop.
It has not been easy for poor Faith. What can I say about this? I think that
nobody listens to our show anyway, so be frank.
You know what? I mean, obviously, I have hope that that's the direction she's headed. But there's something, I actually kind of like this turmoil, the fact that she's experienced all of this unrequited love and that she's given up and sacrificed pieces of her personal life for her career. I think that really is the foundation to this character.
Your new film coming out, it's the 17th, is that right? Or
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, 17th. Tell us about The Sweetest Heart.
Yeah, so The Sweetest Heart stars Julie Gonzalo, who is fabulous. I absolutely loved working with her. We had a ball. And it centers around a cupcake shop in a small town. And Julie's love interest from her past kind of comes back, and everything is thrown into turmoil. The future of the cupcake shop is in question. And I play her friend and her employee at the cupcake shop. And then I end up, while she's dealing with her whole romantic fiasco, I end up having a bit of a romantic fiasco myself. And there's just a lot of romantic fiascos going on and a lot of cupcakes.
On the Crown Media press release, this is what they say for like the tagline. Cupcakes and cardiology become a recipe for love in The Sweetest Heart, which is just amazing.
I hadn't read that yet.
That is so funny.
Okay, well, then I guess I can say there's a character who happens to be a cardiologist in this project. That's so funny. I love that. That's a great line.
Yeah, whoever did this press release did a really good job. Because a lot of the times, I'm going to be honest, they sort of don't do the movies justice.
Yeah, or sometimes they don't even describe the movie accurately. Like the
Christmas, don't talk about the Christmas movies. The Christmas movies are a whole nother animal.
Yeah, it was a disaster.
They're producing 17 movies at one time. Everything's changing.
The poor person in charge of that is just like getting them all confused, and they're under such pressure to get them out. So they're just like, everyone gets the same log line.
Yeah.
Christmas and romance.
So we have some fun questions that we like to kind of end off our interviews with.
Cool.
I like to call them like the teen beat questions, you know, the ones that we would always have for like Jonathan Taylor Thomas and I don't know.
So good.
Don Osmond. So these are just for fun, obviously, because they're not super serious. But the first one, maybe the most important, best flavor of ice cream.
Oh, Cookie dough.
Great answer. Favorite color?
Blue. Different, like I like turquoise, but aquamarine is my birthstone, so we'll go blue.
Okay. What music are you listening to right now?
Oh. Okay. Too much. Okay, Khalid. He's one of my newer favorite artists. I love his new album. But always, I actually really like listening to movie soundtracks. Movie soundtracks from like late 90s movies, like White Oleander. I love soundtracks.
So like the scores or like just like soundtracks that are just awesome?
Yeah, you can just sort of have it in the back. It's like the soundtrack to your life when you're walking down the street. It makes everything feel very important.
Yeah. Like Empire Records and Reality Bites, those those are two of the best. High Fidelity, that one's really good.
Ooh, that is good. That is good. Yeah, there's, I don't know, Pride and Prejudice. I can't even like think of all the version. The Keira Knightley version, which I wasn't the biggest fan of the movie, but the soundtrack is incredible. I don't know. It's just like the music to one's life. It's just something I've always done. If I'm writing, if I'm thinking, if I'm reading a script, it can just be on in the background. I'm not distracted by lyrics.
Yeah. I highly recommend the Somewhere in Time soundtrack. If you
don't know that one, but I will be looking that up after this interview.
It's very great. And if you've never seen that movie, watch it, and it'll add context. So.
Perfect.
It's got Christopher Reeve in it.
And Jane Seymour. It's one of the most beautiful movies ever.
All right,
really good.
On the
and
list.
Time travel.
I like time travel.
It's really good. It's like a perfect movie. Okay, anyway.
Okay. I'm glad that you guys can appreciate the soundtrack situation, because that's just where my head is these days.
That's like 90% of what I listen to, so I totally get it.
Oh, awesome. Okay,
yeah,
good.
Of course.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it's basically the only place where you get symphonic music. Most people don't produce that, so.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like some artists are starting to veer in that direction. Like Trent Reznor is doing, like he did Social Network, Gone Girl. Those are amazing soundtracks. So yeah, it's just something, like even when I was a teenager, I would go to the CD store when those existed, and I would buy movie soundtracks. Everyone else would buy whatever was cool. I would be buying a movie soundtrack.
Question: what is your go-to date night food?
Sushi. I love sushi. I live in Vancouver. We have amazing sushi restaurants. Every corner has a sushi restaurant. Sushi is my go-to. And if we're talking junk food, it's definitely going to be a bag of salt and vinegar chips.
Oh, amazing. You just make such good choices. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you for validating me.
All right. And then this one kind of goes along with that. Go-to date night activity.
Ooh, I mean, I would say going to movies, because I love film, I love movies, but that's not a very active date scenario. I think like is mini putt an acceptable answer?
That's an amazing answer. That's not acceptable. It's amazing.
Great. Mini putt. Pete Gilmore competition going on.
You know what is the best way to do the movie date, though? Someone told me this, and it's so true. Instead of doing dinner and a movie, you do movie and dinner. So
that you can talk about the movie at dinner.
Exactly.
So if it's a terrible date, you have something brilliant idea. Right? Brilliant idea. Nobody gets this right.
And if things are awkward, then like, I don't know, like it's more awkward sitting in a movie theater after like an awkward dinner.
Yeah, no kidding. That's so true. And then even if the date's going horrendously wrong, you're like, well, that character and that movie soundtrack was quite something.
Exactly. Free dinner.
Danny Elfman really is great at musical scores, isn't he?
Oh, Danny Elfman is brilliant at musical scores. That Edward Scissorhands, top notch.
Top notch. Okay, and then the next one, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Beaches or mountains?
Oh, I love both. But right now it's winter. I have to say beaches.
Okay. Yes. Fancy elegant ball gown or sweats?
Sweats.
All right. And then favorite holiday?
Christmas. I just love seeing family. Christmas.
Yeah.
Great one. All right. And then this one is actually the toughest. Everyone struggles with it, so don't feel bad if you have a hard time. Favorite Hallmark movie?
Oh.
I know.
And it can't be an episode of When Calls the Heart. It has to be a movie.
I mean, you can do whatever you want. There's not like
Oh.
a judge who's going to rule on your decision.
I just feel like it's almost unfair because I haven't even seen all the ones that I've done. And now I feel like I'll give you an answer and it's not going to be right because I haven't seen the best one probably. Okay, I think Unleashing Mr. Darcy is pretty fantastic because it stars one of my good friends, Cindy Busby, and there are dogs in it.
Yeah.
And that is incredible. And it's based off of, it's great.
It's great. Rachel loves it. It's one of Rachel's favorites.
Yeah.
It's
She even has the DVD right there.
there.
Oh, you're right. And word on the street is there might be another one.
I know. It's very exciting.
Yeah, no, that's my pick.
All right.
All right.
So you did a great job with the answers. I think you're the first person to not pick their own movie.
I'm sick of myself always. I don't want to watch. I don't want to just blank my face out when it's on a screen.
Well, you're a delight. I'm so happy with all of your choices. So way to go. You just passed the Teen Beat questions.
Perfect.
Thank you. Make sure that you check out our previous podcast where we talked about the various offerings of Hallmark Movies Now service, and we had a lot of fun with that. And then this week we are going to be just sharing some of our favorites because there was no movie this weekend, which was very traumatizing. But we got to watch some
very
of
traumatizing. See, there's room on this network for our skating movie. I'm telling you.
Yeah, there's an entire week where they didn't have
There was an
movie.
entire week with nothing, so we know for next year.
Yes, that's right. And so make sure you check that out. It's going to be fun. And then we have this weekend on Hallmark Channel. We have the new movie Love Once and Always with Peter Porte, who is very handsome. And check that all out. And thanks so much, Andrea, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And,
thanks, guys.
Where can people find you? Your social media and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, my Instagram handle is Andrea K. Brooks, and my Twitter is also Andrea K. Brooks, and my Facebook page is Andrea Brooks Actor, and it's got a tick mark next to it. So if you have trouble, just type in my name. And yeah, I'm pretty active on there, and so yeah, come say hi.
Where can people find you?
As always, I'm at Amber Brainwaves on Twitter, and that's it.
Awesome. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and YouTube. And every Sunday, I do a family movie night where I do a recommendation that is great for the whole family. So check out my channel. I'll link down in the description. So make sure you're following us on social media, Hallmarkies Pod on Instagram and Twitter. We post daily on there, and we have a Facebook page as well. All the links are in the description section. Make sure you check that out. And thanks again, Andrew. We really appreciate it.
Yay, thanks guys. This was so fun.
And make sure you watch.
Make sure you watch The Sweetest Heart on March 17th.
Yes, because it's going to be really good. I mean, do you guys remember the
I'm
log line?
excited.
Cupcakes and cardiology.
Cardiology.
Become a recipe for life.
Cupcake. How could you miss this?
No, never. All right. Well, thanks so much, and we will hopefully talk again
Thanks,
soon.
guys.
All right.
Yeah,
See ya.
we'll do this again sometime. Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.